to Building a Nation with Team Canada, and today we have for you the final episode before the 2022 World Cup. So we're going to go over the team, we're going to go over the preparations that we've been made, including we've got a couple of friendlies leading up to the World Cup. If you look at the date here, it is November 9th, 2022. We've got about 12 days until our first game in the World Cup. So we got a little bit of time to prepare and get the team ready to go, because we are in a very difficult group in the World Cup, and it's just we can't afford not to be ready and not to be performing at peak efficiency if we have any hope of getting out of this group stage. So let's take a look at some news and notes that are going on with Team Canada. So first of all, Vancouver, of course, constantly proposing trades with other Canadian teams. So, there's a new young Canadian out there, Marco Pantaleone. We're taking a look at trying to trade for his rights, because we're always looking to, improve our youth and bring in some young talent. And, speaking of young talent, that brings us to the North American Under-20 squad. We got the championships going on right now, and Team Canada has made it into the second round. So we can take a look at the Under-20s championship. Here's our team right here. Some pretty decent players on this roster, but it's a significantly different roster than what they had called up during the friendlies before the Under-20s. There are some very good Under-20 players missing from this roster, so I was a little concerned about it. And, so far it's been okay. So far the Under-20s have done well. I was unable to take over for the Under-20s. I didn't have the option to take over and coach in this Under-20s championship, maybe because it's basically taking place during the same time as the World Cup. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Whatever the reason is, they would not let me take over. Can we take a look at there it is. So we made it through the group stage. We'll take a look at the stages here. Take a look at the first round, all groups. So this is, the group stage. There are basically each group, you're pretty sure who's going to win each group, right? Mexico is by far the best team in this group. I mean, Guatemala could possibly have given them some trouble. Guatemala went, 4 wins and 1 loss. Of course, their 1 loss was to Mexico. Canada, El Salvador, that could have been close right there. Canada won all 5 matches. Haiti, Jamaica, there's the one upset in the group stage, was Haiti upsetting Jamaica, 15 points to 12. Just about every group that wins the group is 15 points, except for these final 2. Costa Rica, again, a little trouble with Cuba, but other than that, no problems. And then USA, they only played 4 games. Why is that? I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, we got to the next round, and it's going to be a difficult second round. It's going to be a very difficult second round for the Canadian Under-20s. Got Mexico, got Haiti. Only one team moves on. So, we'll see. It's not that the other group is a cakewalk either, with Costa Rica and USA and Honduras all in the same group. So, it's it'll be interesting to see if our Under-20s can beat Mexico. I don't know that they've done that yet. I think they've beaten USA, but I don't think they've beaten Mexico yet. So there we go. There's North American Under-20s. We'll keep an eye on that as we go along, but I don't want to spend too much time on this video right now because we got a lot to go through. So just know that that's going on, and it's an interesting team. It's not necessarily a team I would have picked, but, they went undefeated in the group stage, so we'll see how they can do against Mexico. So Canada is set for a tricky World Cup warm-up. We got Bosnia-Herzegovina coming up next as our first friendly, and we'll show you the highlights of that one. Haven't played it yet, but we'll play it and then show you the highlights because, we don't want this video to take forever. But Bosnia is a decent team. They're higher ranked than we are. So, we tried to play several higher ranked teams to give us an idea of the type of competition we're going to be playing in the World Cup. So Bosnia is ranked 18th in the world. We'll see what we can do. Now, according to this other news item here, it's says their coach is set to experiment because Bosnia did not make the World Cup, so they're not really playing for anything but national pride here. So they can afford to maybe play some youngsters, or who knows what. We shall see. We shall see if that's the tactic of all of the teams we're playing, because I don't think any of the teams we're playing in these friendlies have made the World Cup, so it's probably why they've arranged these friendlies. But anyway, a couple of other news items. Let's see, Belgian league here, Cabra, highest passing percentage in the Belgian league, so he has moved up in the world, and he's playing very well. Jeff Edwards is calling for a demolition job from the Canadian under-20, so that's good. And you see there they scored. They qualified for the second round. And then big news that affected our squad call-up, Cavallini injured. He was injured for about 4 weeks, so there was just no way to squeeze his injury in and have any kind of confidence that he would be able to play in this first round. We just can't have a dead spot on our roster. We're not that deep that we can afford to have a dead spot, especially at striker. So it's going to hurt that essentially our best pure striker is out, but we've got replacements for him, and we'll see how they do, because we did make our squad announcements. And as you can see here, Zebu Jr. has announced his squad for the upcoming World Cup. Uncapped right back Oro, along with Jonathan Jackson Amel, are in line for their potential international debuts. So yes, we did call up 2 brand new guys to the roster for the World Cup. Perhaps not the best idea, but I thought it best to secure these guys and make sure they're going to play for Team Canada. We'll take a closer look at them in a minute. The team shows sizable bias towards Vancouver, with no less than 7 players coming from the Whitecaps. Junior's also gone from familiarity by recalling Tamori, who has missed the previous team through injury. So yes, we did return Tamori from injury, of course. He's one of our better players, and Cavallini out from injury. Other than that, not a ton of surprises. Those 2 guys we called up, and then Cavallini out and Tamori back from injury. So let's take a look at the actual squad roster and see what we're looking at here. So I've got it sorted by position here. 23-man roster, 3 goalkeepers. Other than that, whoever you want. So it's pretty much what you would expect in terms of an international roster. So, of course, our goalkeepers haven't changed. Borgian is going to be our starter. Lutweiler is going to be our backup. And Carducci is our emergency keeper. Defense, left back, right back was a bit of an interesting prospect. So we have called up Mario Ahmed, one of our young players from Vancouver. Just looking at the talent in Canada, he was one of the best fullbacks that we could call up. But the thing that gave him the edge over a couple of other guys who we could have called up was his versatility. He can play left back or right back very easily. So I liked that versatility. Having that on the team, especially when you have a small-ish roster, is very good. Then we also called up Oro at right back. He's kind of an unknown quantity. So having Ahmed on the roster also helps us if this guy can't quite make it at the international level. He's never played for the Brazilian national team, but he was a Brazilian national. Got his Canadian citizenship playing at TFC. Declared for us a couple months ago. So this is good news. He's very fast, very agile, gives us a bit of an offensive punch at right back. Now, I would have preferred to call up Nerwinski, honestly. I know Nerwinski. We played with him for 5 years at Vancouver. He's got his Canadian citizenship, but for whatever reason, I could not call him up. I never got an email like I did with Oro saying, this guy's available. Would you like to try and convince him to come play for Canada? It just never happened with Nerwinski. I can't do anything with it. I can't call him up. I can't do anything in national team-wise with Nerwinski. So we went with Oro, called him up. Central defense, of course, we got Jaguar. Played lots of times with the national team. He's got 26 caps at 24 years old. Rocco, 13 caps at only 22 years old. He's become one of the best central defenders in Canada. Been starting for us at Vancouver. Both him and Jaguar have been starting for us at Vancouver. Then, of course, you saw Tamori. We actually called Tamori up as a central defender, even though he will most likely be starting at right back for us most of the time, just because there weren't a lot of central defenders who were fit for Canada and who also were so overwhelmingly talented that we could overlook that fitness problem. So we brought in extra fullback, which is essentially Ahmed, took that extra spot. So Tamori's going to be playing basically fourth central defender / starting right back. So a little bit of flexibility there. Henry, probably be a starter. 29 years old. He's still the best defender in Canada. It'll most likely be him and Rocco starting if we need it, but maybe not in the friendlies. We'll save that for our first round game. Then, of course, left back, we have Cabra and Zlatkovic. No questions there. Cabra's the starter. Zlatkovic is the reserve, even though both of those guys are very good, very talented. Zlatkovic is lacking some fitness because the MLS season has ended. But other than that, he's clearly the second best left back in Canada. Although there was a little contention. There was another left back. I'd have to try and remember his name. A guy we looked at a few years ago. The name is on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember his name. But anyway, there's another left back who is vying for competition who has grown and improved, just not as much as Zlatkovic and certainly not as much as Cabra. Midfield, a lot of familiar names. Piet is back. Norman is back. Arfield is back. Tebert is back in the team. Russell Tebert. We needed him for his veteran leadership. He's got 15 leadership. He's got teamwork. He can play all over the field, as you can see from his chart there. Most importantly, not only can he play center mid and defensive mid, but he can also play left midfielder, which we don't have a ton of guys who are confident at left midfielder, and we're probably going to be playing a lot of 4-4-2, so it's good to have Tebert in there as a reserve candidate at left midfielder. Now, the one interesting call-up was this guy, Jonathan Jackson-Amell, the 19-year-old with Scottish citizenship, so he could have played for Scotland. So I felt like we had to call him up. He's only 19 years old. He's already 3.5 stars. He's going to be 4 stars by maybe next year. He's going to be one of the best midfielders in Canada really soon. So I didn't want to risk losing him to Scotland because Scotland could have easily called him up for this World Cup or who knows what competition. So he's very similar to Piet, which is why I didn't particularly want to call him up for this Olympics. He's a destroyer. He's a defensive midfielder. But I just couldn't take the risk of losing out on this guy for the future. So we called him up. Is the one move I wish I hadn't made, but looking at the overall strategy, I had to make the move. Just had to. Left wing, right wing, we got some interesting dynamics here. Of course, Alphonso Davies is going to be our starter, but he's suffering some injury issues. I was talking with some guys on Twitter. FM Grasshopper on Twitter also has been playing with Alphonso Davies, And he's got injured in that save, so I'm worried that Davies is injury prone. And he's shown it so far in this save. He's just coming back from an injury. Called him up anyway because he was going to be fit in time for the World Cup. But this guy's status on the team is precarious because of those injury issues. And so we've called up Brim, who is, playing over in Europe now, playing in France. He's improved tremendously. He's a very good player. He's not quite as good a player as Davies. He's actually not nearly as good a player as Davies, but he's got many similar attributes, many similar talents, and he can come in and play for us if we need it. And then on the right-hand side, of course, we're going to have Jonathan Osorio, be our right midfielder. He's going to have to do a lot of work on the right-hand side. Jonathan David also will play sometimes on the right, even though he's not a particularly good right midfielder. If we have to go to Jonathan David on the right-hand side, we might have to change formation and then make him an attacking winger. Jordan Hamilton, called him up because he can, he's going to replace Cavallini as our target man. 26 years old. He's not really improving that much, but he's staying pretty solid, and he's still a pretty good target man for us. Valued at $1.4 million. This would have preferred Cavallini. There's no question about that, but got to call somebody up. So we called Hamilton up. He was fit. He was playing. No problems there. And then Sean Hundle, called him up. Again, he's a versatile guy. He's gained a lot of versatility since joining with TFC. He can play anywhere in the attack. He can play striker, play left wing, right wing, attacking center mid. So we needed a guy with that versatility. With Cavallini out, we just needed another sort of attacking option. And he played pretty well in the friendlies. So I gave him some opportunities in the friendlies. Played pretty well. He's back on the team. And then finally, Liam Miller, the Englishman that we convinced to come play for Team Canada. This is why he came to Team Canada, was so he could play in the World Cup. And so we're going to fulfill our promise to him. And he's an excellent left winger. He's a very good striker, and we're going to need him to score some goals for Team Canada. Get off the schneid and score some goals, young man. So there's the team. We've got a couple of friendlies coming up, and then we got a couple of more that are on offer that I might choose to take or not. I think we're going to take a total of 3 friendlies. So I'm going to, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the beginning match, and then I'm going to play the game off camera and then just show the highlights so that this video doesn't take a million years. So here is the game preview. Canada versus Bosnia Herzegovina. Decent form for Bosnia. Inconsistent form for Canada. A loss, 2 draws, and a win. Most of those friendlies. But yeah, I've got some confidence against Bosnia, but I don't know about 100% confidence. So here's Prosinecki, the guy they said might experiment. Very good coach, 53-year-old Croatian. He's been all over the place. He's coached at Red Star. He's been a coach for Croatia, head coach for Azerbaijan, and now he's got Bosnia-Herzegovina since 2018. So he's been here for a while. He's getting the cycle, and we'll see how long he lasts since his team didn't make the World Cup. But he's still a very good coach, very technical coach, motivating, all that. He should be very, very fine. Can take a look at... So we are playing at home. We got these 2 friendlies at home. Playing in Ottawa, 24,000. Gusty, 46. So, we're playing at home for 2 friendlies, and then we're going to go on the road. We're going to play in the Middle East before going to Qatar for the World Cup. So, Bosnia team selection. They got some question marks. They got some holes in their lineup. We don't really know who they're going to play. They got like a massive roster here because they didn't really have to pare it down for World Cup competition necessarily. So we really don't know what their lineup's going to be or what it's going to look like until game day. So we'll get to our team selection. And here's what we're going with. We're going with basically all of our guys who need match sharpness. We got a lot of dudes who need match sharpness. A lot of seasons are over at this point of the year. It's a weird time for the World Cup because it's in Qatar. They didn't want to have it in the middle of summer. So they've got it in the fall/winter time. So it's going to be a little cooler there, hopefully. It'll be like 90 degrees instead of 120 degrees. Who knows? But anyway, we got guys with fitness issues, and that's why these friendlies are so important. So we are going Borjan in goal because he's got fitness issues. We got to get his fitness up. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't play him. But Ahmed, Rocco, Jaguar, Oro, Brim, Jackson Amel, Norman, Osario in the midfield, Hamilton, and Hundle up top. And just, we got to get these guys fit. It's probably not our starting lineup, but it is for now. So we're going to pause it here, come back, and show you the highlights, okay? Pause. Okay, we're back after our first friendly, and as you can see here, 3-1 victory over Bosnia-Herzegovina. I told you I had a good feeling about this game, but it didn't quite go as smoothly as the scoreline would indicate. There were some definite ups and downs, some definite problems here. So let's take a look at the highlights. You saw our starting lineup. We made a few changes after, but not a lot. We didn't substitute a lot. We're kind of trying to mimic an in-game kind of atmosphere, so didn't send in masses of reserves. Let's watch the key highlights here and see what we can do. So we started out in the 4-4-2, and Bosnia was putting some pressure on us, as you can see here. Krunic gets a shot on Borjan, and for the first maybe 20 minutes of the game, they kept getting a lot of set pieces, a lot of free kicks, a lot of corners. And for the most part, we handled them pretty well. But, you know, eventually you get enough cracks at it, and something's going to happen. So there's Jackson Amel, our new youngster, getting a nice header on it, but Bosnia a little quicker to the ball there. And they're going to get a second attack. There's a deflection, a lucky deflection, but then good defense on the left-hand side there by Cabra. But again, they get another corner, another crack at it, and they just keep knocking on that door. And then here we go, header in. Look at that, great play by Kadic. Drops it off to Dzeko, or however you pronounce that name. And he gets Bosnia on the board, 1-0. Now we stick with the 4-4-2, and we start getting a few more positive plays, I think because Bosnia dropped back. And what I noticed for the rest of the half, it seemed like Bosnia sort of ceded possession to us, because we started gaining more possession in the stats, and we started getting a few more highlights. There's a bit of a back and forth. Bosnia looking to make a play, almost a steal from Norman, almost again, being very aggressive. There's, the youngster getting pulled out of position, but that was a very long shot, very low chance of going in. And that was the only highlight for the rest of the half. So I analyzed the stats at the half, and we went to the Z formation in possession. And in the second half, we started to take control of the possession, and Bosnia essentially got no more highlights the rest of the game. Maybe one or two, but for the most part, it was a lot of this, a lot of us passing the ball around and then probing their defense with either long passes or through balls. And we really started, I think, to show a lot of quality here in the second half. We just weren't, what's the thing? We weren't capitalizing. And here's a mega highlight with Osario making a nice play, getting forward. Hamilton, he's got Hundle on the run. Not a great pass, not enough steam on that pass. If he'd had a nice pass, nice crisp pass, I think Hundle might have scored there, coming in from the attacking midfielder position. There's a throw in, Osario to Hundle, and again, it's all Canada, all putting on the highlights, trying to get the ball to Hamilton. Hamilton nods it to Amel. Good pass to Brim, but that was an unfortunate shot attempt. But here we get another mega highlight where we go up and down the field. Rocco calmly plays it back to Borjan. And we're going to reset, bombing it downfield yet again, probing that defense. Piet wins a nice ball at midfield and gets forward. Asario on the right. He got a lot of balls, and look at this cross. Great cross to Piet. Sloppy defense by that central defender there, number 5. And Piet gets us on the board, ties it up. Here's a throw-in defense by Jackson Amell. Sort of a hopeful cross there, but that's not getting past Borgia. And here we go. Canada starting another highlight at 80 minutes, 1-1. So it's still a very close game for most of the game. And here we go. Jackson Amell gets the ball at midfield. Look at this assist. Great over-the-top ball to Hamilton, who volleys it past the keeper. And there we go. We're up 2-1. So two guys who maybe shouldn't have even been on this team, Hamilton and Jackson Amell, and they link up for the go-ahead goal. And then here's Asario again. Look at Oro getting forward, another one of our newcomers. He drops it back to Asario, all kinds of space, left foot past the keeper, and Oro gets an assist. He didn't work very hard for that assist, but you know what, it counts all the same. And Asario puts Canada up 3-1, salts it away. And again, with us on possession, we just run out the clock from there. So they got most of their positive play in the first half, really the first 30 minutes of the first half. And then we pretty much took over in the second half. The stats look pretty even for a 3-1 game. But really, it was a tale of two halves. We really dominated the second half. They kind of dominated a little bit in the first half. So, there we go. Good game. Good matchup. Now we have a new game. We've got the Czech Republic to go after. They're coming in strong form. We're going over to the Czech Republic to play against them at Teplice Stadium. Okay, we'll call it that. No idea if that's how you pronounce that. Of course I have no idea. I can't pronounce any words ever. But anyway, we're going to be in the whites today. Inconsistent form. We now got 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. Should be interesting. Let's take a look at the Czech Republic real quick. Got a full squad. Overview, 21st in the world. So again, another pretty good team that we should be facing. Another Eastern European team. But yeah, 10 million. So again, they don't have as much population as Canada, but they're still very highly ranked. They still have a lot of good players. And yeah, we shall see how the Czech Republic does. So I guess we're going to pause it here. I got to change the team selection a little bit. We can get to the team selection. I don't want to wear these guys out. But we do still have fitness issues from a lot of these guys, right? Ahmed is still only at 43%. Jackson Amell only at 42%. Hundel 57%. So we got some issues, but we also got some guys that I don't necessarily want to bring in. So I think we might put our field on the left. And we might put, no. Is that right? No. Our field, we're going to put him on the right for Jonathan Asario. And we're going to put T-Bird on the left. So just to get some more guys in there. Norman at 65%. I think that's okay to leave him in there. Ahmed just needs that fitness for sure. Everybody here needs fitness. Fitness is the word. So I think we're going to leave it at that. And then we're going to pause it here, play the game, and do the same thing. So pause. Okay, we are back after our game with the Czech Republic, and it's a 1-0 loss. One of those games that's just sort of, you hate to watch, unfortunately. They get up early, sort of early, 31 minute on a penalty And that's it. That's all we got in terms of actual goals. So it, wasn't a fun game to play in or watch, but, it was a very even game. It was a very well-matched game. Both teams sort of just, slugged it out, I guess. We started off again in the 4-4-2, and again the other team sort of took control of the game because I think we're playing a little too passive in this 4-4-2, a little too defensive. And, we got a few forward passes, but their defense was a little too good. Hamilton had a chance right there to make a play, but he's not been making many plays in terms of passing. So we lose that from Cavallini is the playmaking ability. And this sort of shows what the Czech Republic did and what they were good at is they tried to hit us on the counterattack. Even when we were back, they would rush forward on the counterattack. You see they almost got that one through. Ahmed there, though, paying attention. Very good. Borjan bombing it downfield. And, Hamilton wins it. But again, here he's... I guess he gets a pass to Tibert. That's fine. Tibert sends it across. Nobody there. Our field's going to get a shot, and that was our best. That was our best play in the first half. Here they are, another free kick. Good stop from Borjan. Tibert bangs it out of there. So it was a very defensive game on both halves. Not a ton of highlights. The first half was a little bit more open than the second half. And here we go. Here is Czech Republic on the move. Sends one in. Borjan, easy. Good stop with the cross. It was important for us to get him fit, and we definitely did that. Playing him 2 games in a row shot his fitness like straight back up to 90%. So that's good. That's where we need him. And then eventually here, they're just going to make a move. Yeah, nobody stops him here. And there was their best chance of the half off the crossbar. And again, you can see they're getting all the highlights. All the highlights. And here we go. Just a terrible tackle attempt from Jackson Amell, the youngster. So he played well in the first game, and then he makes the critical error in the second game here. And that leads to their penalty kick goal. Borjan guesses wrong, goes the wrong way. And they're up 1-0. And really, not a lot else happened after that, so we don't really need to watch the rest of those. So today we got a bit of a different matchup. We got Jordan away, and we can get to our match preview here. They come in woeful form, 4 losses and 1 draw in their last 5. Not so good. We can take a look at Jordan, see what they're all about. They do have a full team, so that's wonderful. Take a look at their values. Not a lot going on in the way of value. Their best player, 2.8 million in terms of value, Musa Al-Tamari, 25 years old, contracted to APOEL. No idea what that is, but he's got a decent contract, and he's a decent-looking player. He's got some speed and acceleration. This guy is probably MLS quality, but not particularly better than that. 8.81 million, so decent-sized population there in Jordan. 99th in the world, though, so they shouldn't really be on our level. We've played lots of teams around this area of 99th, 89th, 100th, somewhere around there in CONCACAF. So we're used to playing this quality, this caliber of team. Head coach Bassem Fatai, perhaps, not what I would call a good coach. He's a disciplinarian, that's for sure, but everything else about him is maybe not so good. So let's get to our team selection today. We're going with formation number 2. Because we should be able to beat these guys. We should, be able to feel our oats a little bit and get out there on the attack. So we're going to bring in Lutweiler in goal. Zlatkovic, Henry, Tomori, putting Ahmed over on the right-hand side just to give Oro a rest and to, put a med in there. And we have to play Tamori at central defense, so we can't move him over there. Midfield, Piet and Tibert, Davies and Osorio out there on the wings. Hamilton and Hundle again back up top. We will make Hamilton the target man. Okay, so, it's got some interesting players, interesting combination. We're going to give Davies a run out for the first half. Let him test his various injuries, and hopefully nothing happens to him in the first half. And then we're going to get him out of there and save him for the World Cup. So we're going to pause it there, get to the highlights, and then wrap it up. So, pause. Okay, we are back after our third and final tune-up game for the 2022 World Cup, and it is a 5-0, very impressive victory over Jordan. It's pretty much what we expected. Maybe not 5-0, but, it was, we expected a pretty dominant victory. Interestingly, we didn't really have possession. We only have 42% of the possession. So after a while, Jordan just sort of held on to the ball. They couldn't do much with it, of course, but they did hold on to it. They only managed 3 shots the entire game. We'll just watch the goals on this one. We don't necessarily have to watch all those highlights because there were a lot of highlights of both teams just sort of farting around with the ball, not necessarily moving forward. Because in the second half, I really called off the dogs and just said, let's keep possession and get out of here. So there's Davies sending one forward to Osorio, and Osorio gets the first goal. Now Davies looked like a difference maker out there. Here's Zlatkovic getting a penalty, so he gets the second goal. Here's Osorio on the free kick. Not a lot of time to comment on these highlights. Tibert puts one in there easy. But yeah, Davies, he looked like a difference maker out there. Here he is. He just gets a steal in the corner, takes it all the way to midfield and puts a ball into Hundle. Hundle scores, gets off the schneid. Hasn't scored in a couple of games, but there he goes. And then Osorio bends one in on goalkeeper. Look at that. Rocco, the central defender, pounces on it and gets the 5th goal. Those were all, 4 of those were first half. Just one early second half goal there by Rocco. And then the rest of the game was just playing patty cakes at midfield for the most part. So it was a nice warm-up. We got everybody sort of match fit. Let's get out of here. Take a look at the squad here real quick. And, as you can see, just about everybody has gotten match fit. Jonathan Jackson-Amel, even after playing in all 3 games, only got up to 47%. Same for Mario Ahmed. The good news is we probably won't play either one of those guys very much unless something terrible happens to some of our starters. So I guess that's, in the long run, that's okay. But the guys we needed to get at least halfway match fit have gotten those reps. The other thing I didn't really, I don't know that we need to look at it particularly, but the value. I wanted to mention the value of our squad. If you remember 4 years ago when we started this journey, we didn't have anybody over the $10 million mark. We barely had anybody over the $5 million mark. I think at that time, our most valuable player was Arfield. And he may have been the odd one out. He may have been worth like 10 or 15 million. I don't exactly recall. But he was definitely our most valuable player by far. But now look at that. We got 2 guys over 20 million. Alphonso Davies worth 27 million. Jonathan David, 20.5. Cabra, 18.5. Miller, 9. Brim, we sold him to France, and now he's, his value has gone up significantly. Jonathan Osorio, veteran MLS player, and Oro MLS, Norman up to 5.25 as an MLS player. Same with Piet, Tibert at 5, and on down the line. So as our team has grown and gotten better, their values have gone up, and so have their abilities. So, I think we're at the point where we can compete now. We've had a pretty decent run here in terms of friendlies. And if we could do this in the World Cup, like if we could get 3 wins, a draw, and a loss in the World Cup, I think that would be pretty good. That would be, maybe good enough to get us into the second round. So that would be an interesting maneuver if that happened. So I guess that's going to do it. The last thing we have available to us is a team meeting. The team is buoyant after the victory over Jordan, so we'll hold a team meeting. We're huge underdogs here. Nobody expects anything from us. This can be a positive, though. Play without pressure. Oh, boy, we'll see what they say about that. Everybody's happy. If we enjoy ourselves on the pitch, we can prove everyone wrong. Way to go, Cabra. Thank you for that. We will say that's exactly the sort of thing we're looking for. And there we go. We're going into the World Cup as a positive team. We played well. We think we can maybe pull a couple of upsets here in this group that we've got. Group of death. South Korea, Argentina, and England are in our group. Currently, we don't know what the board expects, so that we probably won't know until the 21st. So we'll come back next episode with board expectations and our first game in the 2022 World Cup. So until then, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.